Welcome to the Mission City Podcast. This is the last session for Season 2. We're going to be taking the summer off, but be on the lookout for a couple special episodes throughout the next few months. Now, over the last little while, you've probably heard us mention a third location for Mission City. To finish things off for Season 2, we have our lead pastor, Matt Surber, joining us to share more about our North Campus. What's our goal with it? How do we structure our different locations? And what are some ways that you can help support Mission City throughout this process? Honestly, this is an amazing discussion hearing our lead pastor's heart for reaching the city. This might be one of my favorite sessions to date. So, without further ado, let me hand it over to Dave and Chuck.
Hey, good morning, Chuck.
Dave, how you doing, man?
Somebody took my chair.
I know. There's a stranger in...
Yep. So we got Pastor Matt in the house with us. Pastor Matt, welcome.
Always glad to be on the Chuck and Dave show.
Hey, man, we're glad you're here. And you made the lineup. That's kind of
It's actually the Dave and Chuck show, not Chuck.
Dave and Chuck. I'm sorry.
So, it is the Dave and Chuck show.
I was just going alphabetical.
It just rolls off the, the tongue.
Yeah, kind of like Ren and Stimpy or something like that. I don't know.
Wouldn't Stimpy and Ren wouldn't work?
Yeah,
it's like just Chuck and Dave just sounds like,
I can think of some other duos, but I don't want to mention them.
Dumb and Dumber.
Oh,
that was a good one.
I was going to say Beavis, but I don't want to use. Yeah, I do like Hall & Oates. Come on.
You just dated yourself. Yeah, that's all you did.
Well, that's okay. Hey, I know you like classic rock.
Because I'm classic. I mean, it's just kind of how it rolls when you get old. You like classic.
Favorite classic band? Journey.
Van Halen.
Oh yeah.
No
David Lee Roth or Sammy?
Are you?
I'm a Sammy guy.
Yeah. Well,
I'm really more of an Eddie Van Halen guy. I don't really care who sings, but I like guitar.
First time I heard 1984, Andy Miller's Jeep, my freshman year of high school. That dates me a little bit because I think you were in middle school, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I was in sixth grade, Chuck.
Sixth grade.
I wasn't born. So I do that with my wife all the time because she's a little bit younger than me. So we talk about that. My son now has gotten to the age where he's a wisecracker, and so
tell me about Elvis, Dave. How was Elvis?
What was Elvis like when you were young? Yes.
Yeah. How'd that Beatles phenomenon feel? Anyway, but we're glad to have you on, Pastor Matt. We wanted to, the announcement went out not too long ago. People are so excited about the North Campus, and so we thought it'd be a good time to have you back on and just once again just sort of share Mission City's vision. I know it's different than some other churches and how they do multiple sites or multiple campuses or whatnot,
or locations
or churches, however we want to
get the vocabulary right.
Yeah, one of these days.
Keep messing it up.
I know.
Well, I keep messing it up. I don't know.
That's true.
Keep grinding at it.
Well, we thought you'd like to share a little bit about kind of what we're doing here at Mission City and just letting our people hear from our 18 listeners. That are all related to Chuck.
We'll have a high attendance of 19 this time.
Yeah. You'll definitely jump the ratings up.
Yeah, there you go. Well, I think, first of all, you use the term multi-site, and there are all kinds of thoughts that go into people's heads because of their past experiences, what that looks like. For a lot of churches, multi-site kind of began as they had maybe facility issues. They couldn't grow anymore, and so they would kind of start satellites around a main location. And that's how a lot of multi-site churches are. There's one huge location with kind of satellites around where people can kind of spin off to different little churches. And there's nothing wrong with that. That's not our vision. Our vision of multi-site is really multiple churches around San Antonio. Right. That we wanted to be the church for people's community. Mm-hmm. So when they invite their neighbor, they don't say, hey, come into my church at our Castle Hills location, our central campus, 40 minutes from where we live, because that person's not coming.
Right.
And so we just felt like we wanted to go where the people were, and there's a huge need. San Antonio is one of the largest cities in the nation, one of the fastest growing cities in the nation. Mm-hmm. So there's no shortage of opportunities over the next years to be able to go into areas around town and see lives transformed by the gospel.
Yeah, I've used the term multi-site with people, and they look at me like a calf looking at a new gate.
Yeah,
you're like, you're going to have to go into a deeper explanation of that. But when I try to do that, I have to only thing I can go is from what I've seen and what I know, and it may not be what our multi-site definition is and how Mission City feels called to lead that. So talk a little bit about that process.
Yeah, I mean, I think one of the things that's different about us is we don't have a main location. We have our original location, which is the Castle Hills location. Mm-hmm. which isn't even the largest location. Any of our locations, the New North location, may be the largest 5 years from now. We don't know. So there's not a main kind of gravitational, center to our church. Yeah. We are churches around San Antonio that all happen to be Mission City Church. Fully functioning preaching ministry. We do live teaching, which is different than a lot of churches that you may be watching a video of a guy that's not even in your state. Ours are teaching pastors on site, campus pastors leading and pastoring that location, student ministry, kids ministry, women's ministry, missions. I mean, everything of a fully functioning church. So you may or may not feel connected to our other churches, or you may just feel like, I go to Mission City Church at our Northwest location, and I don't even think beyond that. Mm-hmm. And that's fine. We, again, want to be the church for your community.
I know I went to, when my daughter was at Abilene, for example, she went to, I think it was Beltway Church. I don't know if you know that church. Yeah. And we just happened to go to the location that had the teaching pastor. Then another time when we went to the North location, and it was video. And it was, it was just different for me. There are people, you talk with people, they're like, oh, we love it. We love the pastor. I can't remember his name, but we love the pastor. But the other people are like, oh, we really miss live teaching. We miss all this. So you have all these nuances. And so we just have to, this is our particular way that we feel called to do it.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah. I don't think anybody can come in with any kind of preconceived ideas from other multi-site churches, because I think we're quite a bit different than a lot of them. And again, there's nothing wrong what they do at Beltway Church or Life Church or any of those churches, nothing wrong with that. We just feel like God's led us in this particular direction. I think it's somewhat interesting that when we felt like we wanted to go to live teaching on every location, that's when COVID hit. And so everybody was zoomed out, videoed out, and it was like, well, we want to do live someone in the room.
Right.
And I think, part of even the live teaching, just for our own people, like, again, if you have a really kind of traditional church background, used to going to church, and who's the pastor? Oh, Matt Surber's the pastor. Well, how come we don't hear him every week? Why do we hear this other guy? I think there's benefits to that. Number one, we preach the same messages with our own personality. Our illustrations, our personality is going to come out. It's going to be different, even though it's the same. If you've ever watched, been there when Jeff or Paul was preaching, and then you watched me online, and you're like, okay, that was the same message, but it was different. We're working really hard to, one, bring in dynamic communicators. I mean, to have, a Matt Carter that pastored Austin Stone, a great church, be on our teaching team, I think is a big plus, an advantage to have that kind of experience. But we also want to bring up young guys that want to be pastors. I mean, one of our kind of visions is that we would be a church that got to invest in young pastors and send them out. 20 years from now, we have 20 guys all around the country pastoring great churches that came through Mission City, that learned from Mission City, that were equipped at Mission City Church, and then sent out. I think that's a good kingdom perspective that we have and want to have.
Yeah, well, and going beyond just the preaching, what I like is the community investment. And so we're not, like you said, driving 40 minutes. I live 5 minutes from here. Chuck lives 5 minutes from Northwest, the North guy.
If I
Chuck
walked,
lives 60 seconds.
Yeah. I could walk there in 5 minutes. That's a beautiful thing.
Well, I doubt that, but
Okay, I'd run.
Cheryl could carry you.
I couldn't run that far.
But no, that's what I like. And our student ministers, they're here in whatever community it is. Our students are our student ministers are where the students go to school and involved in those, the local campuses and things like that. And so I think that's what's really valuable about the way we, and again, nothing wrong with the churches that are, large and people are going 45 minutes. That's great for them if their pastor has that vision from the Lord. I'm thankful for it, but I really like the way we're invested in each of these communities and the ones going forward that I'm really excited about. And so we mentioned that we're going to the third campus now. How did all that the third location?
Come on, Dave, get it right.
Yeah, Benny will edit that with his magic. But kind of talk about how that opened up and where you felt led with our elder team and so forth.
Sure. I mean, the great thing about San Antonio is there's so many places that we could start a church tomorrow.
You could throw a dartboard at it.
Yeah. I mean, we literally have. Y'all have seen the map that we just kind of have of San Antonio. And it's like, it's really growing over here. It's really growing up here. It's really growing up here. It's really growing over here. It's really growing down here. And so we could have picked anywhere, and it would have been a great place for a location. Part of doing the North Campus as our third location was a familiarity to that area, very similar to our Northwest Campus as far as the community and the school. So it's not unfamiliar to us. It's a booming, growing area.
That's for sure.
Kind of going north. And so, it's like my pastor at Prestonwood used to say, when you start churches or start locations, you follow moving trucks and elementary schools being built. That's where you start. And so that's a great area. But we could have gone far west side and would have been phenomenal. We could have gone northeast towards New Braunfels. It would have been phenomenal. We could have gone back into town. And that's part of the vision. Hopefully, as we go forward, God opens up opportunities for us to plant these locations, these churches in these growing areas of San Antonio. And there's a need. I mean, San Antonio is not a Bible Belt city.
No.
It's not really a church city for the size of San Antonio. I would say we're somewhat of a religious city with a lot of Catholic influence, but not churched. And so to me, it's just the perfect place to do ministry because it's growing. There's a huge need. We need more churches, more than just Mission City Church. We need more churches, period. People look around, they think they see churches, and why do we need more churches? Well, it's because there's 2.7 million people in greater San Antonio, and on a good Sunday, maybe 300,000 people, 350,000 people are in an evangelical church. Right. So the opportunities are there. You could build next door to a church and still have plenty of people that need to be reached. And I think there's different churches. There's different strokes for different folks. I think Mission City Church is different than other churches. Not better, just different. And so it's a great opportunity to go into a growing area and be able to be kind of on the front end of growth in that area. Right. And again, see lives transformed by the gospel.
Dave talked a lot about the community aspect. What benefits and value do you think that brings placing a church in a community rather than having this whole drive-in mentality?
Well, I think you have, and I'm not sure when this podcast is going out, but we have an event that we're doing for the North Campus on July 2nd. Just kind of a big community outreach that we get to be in that community to kind of introduce ourselves, but also just to gather the community together to get to know people.
And we can put that link below to where that goes.
Yeah, we've already reached out to the PTA at the schools up there and the athletic teams, and we're already engaging that community specifically, those people that live there. And that's what you want to do. We want to do life with people. Church and community is about doing life with people. And when you're in their community, you're in their neighborhood, you have the ability to do that.
Yeah.
One of the questions that we get is, why not just church planting? Why not just do the good old-fashioned, church planting? And I know what the answer to that is, but many of our listeners may not. So share a little bit about your heart when it comes to, because I know your heart for church planting. So share a little bit about, how you answer that question.
Sure. I think, one, I would say we do church planting. Even what we do as Mission City Church is church planting. We're not planning venues, we're planning churches. Right. They just happen to all be a part of the same church. We, of course, have our church that we plant through the North American Mission Board, through SIN, Denver, Puerto Rico, and different things like that. Those are unique church plants that we help to support. Here in San Antonio, I think we do church planting. It looks a little bit different because it's all Mission City Church. Right. The benefits of that are, you just think about shared resources.
Oh, yeah.
Not only financial, but just ministry-wise. Right. The North Campus is starting with a huge leg up that a church plant that was just kind of dropping in a school is doing. It has the support of Mission City Church, has the leadership of Mission City Church, has 2 other locations of people to help support the ministry of, plus the financial resources.
It would have a longer runway to get up and going.
If it
ever even
succeeded.
got up, yeah.
Most church plants don't last 5 years.
Right.
And they never give above 150 people. And there's nothing wrong with a church that's 150 people. But I think, when you're a little larger, you have the benefits of having some ministries that a smaller church doesn't have. So for us, we would say we are church planting. Mm-hmm. We want all of our locations to be significant churches in their community. So again, I think there's a huge benefit to being a part of a family of churches, just being an independent church. And I think, I would go back to as well, I may think Chuck's great. He's a young pastor that wants to plant a church. And we say, okay, we'll help you plant a church. Well, once that church starts going, they're independent. I don't know if Chuck's a good leader or not a good leader. I don't know if he's going to lead them, biblically where we would want somebody to be led. There's something to having the shared leadership, the elder group that we already have.
Scriptural integrity.
Scriptural integrity.
I think coaching too.
The coaching
from the whole team is valuable.
Yeah. I always tell people, I'm not saying, because we're not the perfect church, not anywhere close, but I know what we do and I feel good about it.
Right.
So if we can inject that DNA into a new church, I know what we do and I feel good about it. And to this point, God's blessed it and we've seen life impact.
Yeah, well, for me, coming from a church planting background, when I came here, and when COVID hit, I had to get another job. So I'm working a full-time job. I'm a full-time pastor. I've got a wife and two kids. And I just felt like I was missing on every front as I'm trying to work and be a good witness at that job and then write my sermons and pastor my people and then still be dad, and a lot of church planners feel that. And that's why a lot of them end up not lasting as long because they didn't have the resources and in those things. And so I know from personal experience, when you can be so much more together than you can ever be alone. And that's why I like the strategy with the North American Mission Board, with the Send network, where they go into that city and say, hey, we're going to give these resources. Those churches have a lot better chance of surviving and being able to impact the community, because you have to be there for a while before you can make that impact. And if I have enough resources for a year, that's a rough go of it, as I know. And so,
well, and if you're if you're spending half your time trying to raise funds to survive, which in our scenario of planning churches around San Antonio, Mission City Church, that's not an issue. You don't have to worry about, am I going to be able to have any money to do this event that we want to do? We have that. It's one of the blessings of it. It's good stewardship. All across the board, whether it's financial, it's good stewardship, shared resources, not just financial, but just, ministry experience, that all the kids ministry can share ideas, that all the student ministries can get together, that you two as campus pastors, Chuck, you were coming out of coaching, hadn't worked at a church before, to be able to come in and be a part of a team versus just, dropped into a church somewhere, figured out. I imagine that's been a benefit and a blessing.
No doubt. I'm thankful every day for a global team, because for me because I can't think of everything. I have no experience to be able to know, we got to take care of that. We don't, because we have a global team that takes care of the music canon, the church experience on a Sunday morning, the marketing, the global push for whatever event you have an army of people really to come alongside you and help you move the ball down the fairway. And
I think
that's really beneficial and helps lets me use my strengths to lead the Northwest campus, just like Dave gets to use his strengths to lead, and lets the other things kind of materialize.
Yep. It's good.
That's good. So going forward, Mission City people at Central, Mission City people at Northwest locations, how can they get on board when it comes to the next campus, the next location there north, which will be meeting at Piper Ranch Middle School, and we'll have the information on that as well about
August 20th, kickoff Sunday.
Yeah. So how do those set up and tear down all the good things that happen with church planting and new things? So how can they be invested and involved?
Sure, and I think this, again, kind of goes back to the benefits of being part of a church with multiple locations. If you're at one of our existing campuses, you may feel like God's leading you to go be a part of the New Start.
And that's okay.
And that's okay. You're not even leaving Mission City Church. You still get to be a part of Mission City Church and go be a part of a new.
Yeah, because we had people that was like, well, what if we lose? A lot of people, I was like, we're not losing anybody. This is a kingdom work. It's still, so I'm glad you brought that up.
Yeah, so there's really three things we're asking. I mean, like anything, prayers. I mean, we need this to be covered in prayer, not just the new location, all of our locations. Right. Prayer's key. Obviously, when you give, I mean, you're supporting not only your existing location and what you're doing, you're supporting church plants in Denver, you're supporting the third location, so that's important. And then go. And we've really kind of broken it down into three ways that you can go. One is you feel like you want to just go to that campus. That's going to be the location you go to. I want to be a part of that permanently. The second is temporarily. Hey, I'll give you 60 days, 2 months, 3 months, 6 months, whatever, to go help, to get things established as you're building the leadership team there. I want to go help and be a part of that. But then I'm going to go back to my original location. That's great. And then the third way is we're going to ask life groups and different teams to take various weekends to go as a mission project on that Sunday morning and just be a part of everything that happens there. So that's the setup, tear down, help with kids, be greeters, just fill in the holes until we can develop that leadership structure and team there where they can kind of be self-sufficient as far as the people needs. Or ask our life groups to help with that. So
I know they're excited about it. My wife came home and I don't get to be in our life group because it's on Sunday morning, and she came home. She's like, "Hey, they were really talking about how we're going to be there sometime late August or 1st of September in order to help do the setup." And they asked people to set up. They asked people to stay and tear down. They asked people to serve in the kids and greeting, and also we'll have our mobile cafe that'll be out there. That'll be awesome. So
well, and it's also helping to infuse the DNA of who we are. When our people who are excited about, number one, Jesus, number two, Mission City Church, and they're helping people to learn who we are through the conversations they have with new people, with the way that they serve. I mean, I think one of the things that's developed over time, it definitely wasn't this way when I got here. It started at our central campus, our original location. We became a friendly church. We used to not be a friendly church. I mean, just I came in, I felt welcome, I felt loved. And then to see that DNA transfer into the Northwest location, starting in the dance hall and continuing in the permanent location, it's like, that's Mission City. If you came to either of our campuses, you feel like this is Mission City. Things like that we want to obviously carry over into the new church as well. We want people to be able to drop into any one of our locations and feel like I'm at Mission City Church. The feel is similar. Obviously, the preaching and teaching's the same. The ministries, even dynamic the look worship, of things. Yeah. It's Mission City Church.
So you mentioned the first thing we do is pray. What are a couple things that you would ask our people to begin to pray for specifically?
I mean, I would say for opportunities and people in that community, whether they come to our location or not, I mean, we just need things like, where do we store our trailers? Where can we maybe find a place to meet for student ministry and things like that? So just people that are open to who we are and what we're doing. So that would be first, just good connections. Church planners call it people of peace, right? That just want to help. Then obviously that God would give us favor and opportunities to get the word out in that community to new people that, hey, there's a church coming that you can be a part of. You can pray for the staff team. I mean, we're actively pursuing those things. We want it to be the right people, the right fit for our culture and who we are. So be prayerful about that. So those are three quick things, but just the whole thing needs to be covered in prayer. I mean, ultimately, I talk about our resources and we can go in as Mission City and do our thing But if it's not God's thing,
Yeah.
it's going to fall short. So we don't want to do our thing. We want to do His thing that He allows us to be a part of.
I'm glad you added that on, because that's what we're called to do. Make much of Jesus by glorifying God in everything that we do. And so I'm excited about what's coming. I just cannot wait to see what God's going to do in that community. So thank you for coming in today and sharing with us. We appreciate you being here and boosting our attendance a little bit on the deal.
Yeah, maybe the clicks will go up.
My wife will watch probably now.
If the two of your wives and then my wife watches, I mean, we're up to 3.
We win.
Yeah, we'll get Benny a wife one day, and she'll watch. We'll be up to 4 people there. Yeah. That'll be good. That'll be good. So.
Absolutely, man. It's been great, man. This podcast this season's been great. I think this is the last regular one.
Yep.
We're hoping we can have a few little special editions. I know we're going to go to kids go to camp. Probably do something from kids camp as well.
Student camps coming, kids camp. Got a lot of stuff happening this summer. So
we're trying to decide if we're going to renew y'all for a 3rd season. It's kind of
I mean, maybe we need that 19th person to watch, so we can maybe
if you get over 20, we'll bring you back.
You heard that. Spread the word. Right. But thank you for tuning in. I appreciate y'all. God bless. And Jesus loves you.
Absolutely.
Thanks for watching this episode of the Mission City Podcast. This is the part where we ask you to do all the YouTube things like the video, comment down below, share it with a friend. Seriously though, we are so thankful for you tuning in. You can click here to catch up with this season of the podcast, and you can click up here to subscribe for more of this kind of content. See you guys next time.